I have a few introductory slides, and then I'll move into a high-speed précis of Heathrow's surface access proposals. But I just wanted to start to put Heathrow in overall context. And for 350 years, the world's largest port or international airport has been in the UK. And what we're seeing over time is that gradually being eroded as Heathrow, the UK's only hub airport, has reached capacity. Because what we know is those long-haul direct flights drive economic growth. We know that British businesses do 20 times more trade with emerging markets where there is a direct air connection. And a recent Frontier Economics report concluded that in expanding Heathrow could add a further 40 new direct connections to rapidly growing economies around the globe. As well as the hub airport being critical for international connectivity, it's also critical for trade and imports and exports. And already today Heathrow is the premier port by value in the UK, which makes Heathrow in itself unique. And businesses, both nationally and locally, have told us about the importance of freight for imports and exports. They've told us that they want to expand at Heathrow and improve the freight handling facilities that are on offer. And in our plans for a third runway at Heathrow, we include the doubling of capacity for freight facilities. And these world-class facilities will help to re-establish Heathrow and the UK's position as a world trading centre. The economic case for Heathrow has always been strong. The difficulties, of course, back in 2010 was the proposal as set before the country was rejected. And since then we've been listening to what people had to say. There was clearly important issues about Heathrow's proposals. And we listened to those. We've listened to the voice of stakeholders, be that national politicians, local politicians, our passengers, our airlines, statutory consultees and local people around Heathrow. And particularly over the last 9 months, we've engaged intensively with those local people, including a major public consultation exercise. And my colleagues have been around the country speaking to 40 chambers of commerce to understand what the UK wants from its hub airport. And that's helped to shape our proposals, which is why our proposals have been called a new approach, because that new approach demonstrates that we've listened and that we will continue to listen as our plans evolve over time. You'll see we're claiming we're the best connected airport too. We genuinely think Heathrow is in the right place to serve both existing demand and future demand. If you look at the business passengers that are travelling through South East airports today, London, Gatwick, Stansted, the centre of gravity for those passengers is in Denham. And if you don't know where Denham is, it's a small place 10 miles north of Heathrow. And that's no accident. The motorway network and Heathrow has grown together. The M4 and the M25 hugs the airport. The M3 and the M1 are just down the road. We're the only airport on the tube network. I think the first presentation today mentioned the significance of that, and we would echo that. And we have 7 rail and tube stations on the airport. And we also have the busiest bus and coach station in the UK. Over 500,000 movements through our bus stations in the last year. We have 2 rail services, Heathrow Connect and Heathrow Express, both operated by the airport. And Heathrow Express is the only dedicated non-stop express service in the UK. It's fully funded by the airport, has a 99% reliability performance rate, and was recently voted by Passenger Focus as the top operator in the UK in terms of passenger experience. 96% of passengers were highly satisfied with their experience of Heathrow Express. And what that means is not only do we offer choice to our passengers, but we have a significantly resilient transport network. And that is critically important to our passengers, particularly if we see the ongoing construction works that are going on the Great Western Main Line at the moment, that we have choices for our passengers while that work is happening. And our plans for the future will seek to build on that strength and will seek to connect the whole of the UK to growth. Like Gatwick and the other proposals, rail is critically important to Heathrow's future. And we're seeking to place Heathrow at the heart of the rail network. Our proposals will see journey times transformed for people around the UK and will increase the population directly connected by rail. They're a credible and deliverable set of plans developed in consultation with Paul and his team at Network Rail, and they're built on a list of existing committed projects. So Crossrail, a project that's happening and will be operating to Heathrow in 2019. The Piccadilly line, a great service as already mentioned, and in TfL's plans for upgrade. Western Rail Access, a committed project that Network Rail are currently taking through their design and development processes. And of course HS2, which is working its way through Parliament as we speak. And we propose one further addition to that, and we call it fondly the missing link, and that's a connection to the south of Heathrow. That in itself is not a committed project, but it is a project that has strong policy support. It's been in Network Rail's long-term policy documents since 2011. The Commission itself recently recommended a study be initiated, which the DfT is just about to instruct Network Rail to undertake on its behalf. So a committed and credible set of plans that will treble the capacity at Heathrow in terms of seats and more than double the number of trains an hour operating to the airport. And of course, those services will generate billions in fare box revenue that either TfL through Crossrail or government will benefit from. But most importantly, this collection of services will ensure that the whole of the UK is within easy reach of Heathrow. At Heathrow, we're trying to deliver integration. So you've heard lots of discussion today about rail, but for Heathrow, the solutions to support our growth are more than about rail. I mentioned the busiest bus and coach hub in the UK. We plan to significantly increase the bus and coach network at Heathrow, working with our main operator, National Express, but also our local bus operators and local authorities to deliver a network of services that meet the needs of passengers, but also meet the needs of Heathrow's sizable workforce. And all of that will come together at our Western campus and Eastern campus. So we'll have a two-campus airport facility connected by a high-frequency public transport spine. So ensuring that every passenger, whichever campus they're travelling to and from, will be within 5 minutes from platform or bus stop to check in. So whatever the mode, be that private car, bus, coach or rail, our passengers will have fast and easy access to Heathrow from around the UK. You have there's two pictures here. One is the results of the testing of our strategy in terms of the amount of patronage it will generate, and the graph at the bottom is illustrating the road-based traffic levels at Heathrow today and in the future. There's a combination of the rail schemes that I've described, the bus and coach improvements that we're committed to introduce. Our proposals to work with the taxi and hackney carriage industry. Currently there are over 40,000 empty taxi journeys either to and from Heathrow a day, and that's an area where we think there's enormous efficiencies to be gained by working with that industry with a view to reducing traffic and making better use of road space. But on the employee side, we'll continue to build on Heathrow's car share scheme, already the largest in the world. We'll extend the free travel zone, which is already the only example in the UK. And our award-winning Heathrow commuter team will continue to deliver initiatives that will dramatically change the way employees travel to and from Heathrow, to the extent that we are confident enough to reduce the amount of employee parking at Heathrow by half. The result is the 20 million people that travel by public transport to Heathrow today will increase to approaching 50 million come 2040. And similar to Gatwick, we're anticipating public transport mode share of in the region of 60%. And importantly, just referring to the bottom graph, we do not expect traffic levels to increase at Heathrow over those of today. I feel I have to mention the M25. Those that know our plans intimately well, the third runway is shifted to the west, and it's shifted to the west to address noise issues and to minimise land take and the number of properties impacted by Heathrow's growth. But as a consequence of that, a section of the M25 is required to be constructed in tunnel. To give you some idea, it's about 650 metre stretch of the M25. If you've travelled on the M25 in Hertfordshire, the Holmesdale tunnel is of similar length. The tunnelled section will be constructed offline. We will not close the M25. This will be an offline construction tied in with the usual traffic management that you would see with any major highways agency work. But what we tried to do in developing these plans is to improve things on the network as they are today, and working with the highways agency, understand their growth projections and how they want to make this stretch of the motorway better. So in effect, what we've done is we've separated out the Heathrow traffic and the M4, M25 traffic into a series of collector distributor roads either side of the junctions, so that we've separated out M25 through traffic from all of that local traffic. And the consequence of that, in our view, is a much more efficient operation of this stretch of the motorway, greater capacity for those people travelling by Heathrow using the M25 on their daily travels. We're also proposing to change the way that Junction 14 and Junction 14A operate, so they will operate in a one-way system, again with a view to getting better efficiency out of this stretch of the motorway. And more locally, we're proposing a new Southern Road tunnel into the Eastern Campus, into the central terminal area. And the reason for that is for people travelling from the south along the M25, they'll be able to access the Eastern Campus along the Southern Perimeter Road, rather than having to travel up the M25 and along the M4. But I mentioned we've been listening along the way, and in our formal consultation earlier on this year, and our discussions with stakeholders, particularly in the local area, they've told us that HGVs are a concern to them. They've told us that traffic is a concern, but also parking on the local roads. And we've listened to that, and that's why, through our commitment to keep traffic at an acceptable level, but also to deal with local traffic on local roads, we're proposing the introduction of congestion charge around Heathrow. Should that be required if traffic levels need to be kept at a manageable level, and certainly only once appropriate public transport measures are in place. The details of that will be subject to further consultation, of course, with TfL, local authorities, other stakeholders and local people at the appropriate time. For freight, we want to change the way that freight accesses Heathrow, building on our award-winning consolidation centre at Heathrow. So we want to work with the Freight Trade Association, freight operators and local communities to make sure we have a much more efficient operation for Heathrow's very successful freight business. And as I've mentioned, parking on local roads, there is a significant perception that parking is a problem, and we want to work with the local authorities about how we fix that. And we'll keep listening and keep developing our plans with stakeholders. And finally, Heathrow is already best place for Britain and best place for growth. It's already well connected, but we have credible and deliverable plans to make it even better and transform those links, ensuring that the benefits of Heathrow's growth spread to the whole of the UK. Key destinations will be closer. Sheffield, 3.5 hours to less than an hour and a half. Manchester, 3.25 hours to less than an hour and a half. I think Leeds was mentioned first thing this morning, 3.75 hours to just over an hour and a half. Heathrow will become a truly integrated hub, like nowhere else in the UK. We will have a resilient transport network, not relying on a single mode or one rail corridor or one road corridor into London. There will be unrivaled choice for passengers and people travelling to the UK's hub airport. It will mean that about 75% of the UK by surface access will be within 3 hours of Heathrow. Only Heathrow can connect all of the UK to growth.